Hello all and welcome to TVM Academy. This is RC number 56 of our free practice course VRC 100. If you are new to this channel, you can subscribe to this course. You can sign up for free on our portal, the link to which is available in the description box of this video. Let's begin RC number 56. So in the first paragraph, author tells you that training in ethics is important if we want to keep our medical students empathetic to patients' needs. Then he tells us that though ethics courses are part of medical curriculum even today, but these courses are taught in a philosophical, theoretical manner. And if these courses are taught in the form of stories, that is narrative literature, it would be better. Third, he continues the discussion. He says reading narrative literature will better equip the medical students with moral flexibility, so they can act as per the ethical situation or the moral dilemma that they find themselves in. And finally, he says students can learn ethical reasoning and moral flexibility without giving up basic ethical principles. So they can stick to the basic ethical principles and still develop the required ethical flexibility to deal with the day-to-day ethical dilemmas that they're going to face in their medical profession. Okay. So in short, the courses in ethics should be taught to medical students in the form of stories, narrative literature is the main idea. Question 1, main point of the passage. Option A, training in ethics that incorporates narrative literature would better cultivate flexible ethical thinking. This part is correct. And increase medical students' capacity for empathetic patient care. They will be able to develop an understanding of other person's point of view, which means, okay, empathetic patient care as compared with traditional approach of medical schools to such training in ethics. Option A is the correct answer, should be the correct answer. There's no problem. B, traditional abstract ethical training, because it is too heavily focused on theoretical reasoning, tends to decrease or impair medical students' sensitivity to modern ethical dilemmas. This part is problematic, factually incorrect. Second, option B does not talk about narrative literature. It talks about the problem that the traditional courses in ethics have, but it does not talk about the solution in the form of narrative courses in ethics. And this narrative course, the solution was the main focus of this discussion. Okay. So no mention of narrative literature is what makes option B incorrect. C, only a properly designed curriculum that balances situational, abstract, and narrative approaches. This option goes wrong here itself. Author never talks about balancing situational, abstract, and narrative approaches. Rather, he says situational ethics won't do, abstract ethical courses won't do, only narrative approach, or even if not only, narrative approach is a balance, a sweet balance between the two. So we don't want to balance X, Y, and Z. Z is the balance between X and Y. That's the idea. Therefore, option C, factually distorted, out. Option D, the study of narrative literature in medical schools would nurture moral intuition. This part is correct, no problem. Enabling the future doctors to make ethical decisions without appeal to general principles. This part is problematic. They will still follow their moral principles. They will still apply moral principles. Therefore, this part is contradictory to what the passage says, the last part. Without appeal to general principles. Contradictory. Okay. Second question. Which of the following most accurately represents the use of the term moral imagination in the third paragraph? Okay, let's see. He uses moral imagination here. And what is our discussion about? He says, to grasp the development of character, to tangle with heightened moral crisis, and to engage oneself with the story not as one's own, but nevertheless as something recognizable and worthy of attention, readers must use their moral imagination. Giving oneself over to the ethical conflicts in a story requires abandonment of strictly absolute, inviolate sets of moral principles. Reading literature also demands that the reader adopt another person's point of view. Okay, so this is the understanding of the word moral imagination. So what is moral imagination? Let's first, before we look at the answer choices, let's first understand what moral imagination is in context of the passage. So what is moral imagination? Ability to understand development of character, ability to deal with moral crisis, ability to engage with a story which is not mine, which is not one's own, but still it is important, and ability to think from other person's point of view. All these abilities is what author calls moral imagination. Okay, let's look at the options now. A sense of curiosity. Wait. Not a very good opening. Option A. It's not a sense of curiosity. It is rather ability, as we figured out after reading. It's the ability to think from other person's point of view. It's not just a sense of curiosity. Aroused by reading, that leads one to follow actively the development of problems involving the characters. So this part is okay, but this part is problematic. It's not just a sense of curiosity, it is the ability to understand other person's point of view. The ability to grasp the development of character, not just a sense of curiosity. Okay. A faculty, this is okay. Faculty means skill. A skill, a faculty, or an ability of seeking out and recognizing the ethical controversies involved in human relationship. This part is wrong. It does not talk about ethical controversies, but ethical situations, ethical dilemmas, rather than controversy. Controversy is something else. That too involved in human relationships. Does not talk about human relationships at all. Therefore, this part is factually incorrect, or should I say alien to the passage. A capacity to understand, this part is okay. A capacity to understand complexities of various ethical dilemmas, okay, up to this point, and to fashion creative and innovative solutions to them. This part is alien. This part is not covered under the definition of moral imagination. Maybe it has been discussed elsewhere in the passage, but it is not covered under the definition of moral imagination. So option C also goes out. D, an ability to understand personal aspects of ethically significant situations, even if one is not a direct participant, and to empathize with those involved in them. To be able to understand other person's point of view, to be able to think from other person's point of view is exactly what option D says. To empathize with those involved in the ethically difficult situations. So option D is the correct answer. Third question. Can be inferred that the author would most likely agree with which of the following statements. Option A. Students learn more about ethics through fiction than through non-fiction. Tempting choice for many of you. Maybe some of you mark this also. However, the comparison is not between the amount of learning received through non-fiction, that is traditional courses, and the amount of learning received through fiction, that is narrative literature. The comparison is not between the amount of learning received through these two modes. Actually, he's saying that while traditional courses, while the non-fictional courses can teach a lot in terms of theory, they will not make a medical student flexible, ethically flexible. They will not make him empathetic to patients' needs, emotional needs, maybe. That is where fiction can help, narrative literature can help. So it's not between the amount of learning that you receive from both, but the nature of learning, which differs in the two. This part is alien. We don't know what teaches you more, fiction or non-fiction. Option B. The traditional method of ethical training in medical school should be supplemented, okay, or replaced, okay, by more direct practical experience with real life patients. Wait. This is actually incorrect. The traditional method of ethical training, the traditional course in ethics, should be replaced with narrative course, a narrative literature, and not with real life patients. So this part is factually incorrect. Option C. The failing of an abstract philosophical training in ethics can be remedied only by replacing it with a purely narrative-based approach. Now, this part only is extreme. The author says that an abstract philosophical ethics course can be replaced and should be replaced by a narrative-based ethical course, a course in ethics. But is it the only solution? Author never, claims this much. So this is an extreme answer choice, extreme modifier. Option D. Neither scientific learning, scientific training, nor traditional philosophical ethics course adequately prepares doctors to deal with emotional dimension of patients' needs. So this is empathy. They can't deal with empathy. They cannot be empathetic towards their patients through scientific training or traditional courses. Exactly the argument that author makes. Where does he say that scientific training is not sufficient? First line, first paragraph. Strictly scientific thinking is insufficient for grappling with modern ethical dilemmas. Okay, therefore neither scientific training nor traditional philosophical courses in ethics adequately prepares doctors. Option D is the best choice. Last question. The passage ascribes each of the following characteristics to the use of narrative literature in ethical education, except, okay. So what are the characteristics of narrative literature? What are the characteristics of narrative literature in ethics? Three are mentioned, one is not. That's our answer. Option A. It tends to avoid the extreme relativism of situational ethics, mentioned in the last paragraph. Um, Situational ethics decisions are made on the basis of intuition and are entirely relative to the circumstances in which they arise. This is an extremely relativistic stance. And fortunately, narrative literature is a corrective stance. It's a corrective measure. It's a remedy for this problem. Therefore, it tends to avoid the extreme relativism of situational ethics. That is mentioned, not the answer. Option B. It can help insulate future doctors from the shock of the ethical dilemmas that they will confront. Tempting choice. But there's one extreme word here. It can help insulate the future doctors from the shock of ethical dilemmas in the future. Too much to say, overstatement, an extreme answer choice. It can help reduce the shock value, but it will not entirely insulate them from the shock. This is something passage never mentions, that they will be 100% protected from the shock of the ethical dilemmas that they're going to face. So option B is also. It can help lead medical students to develop new ways of dealing with patients. Mentioned in the first paragraph. Aspiring physicians need to develop new ways of thinking and interacting with patients. And training in ethics can help them accomplish this, which means, yes, it can help lead medical students to develop new ways of dealing with patients. Mentioned, not the answer. Option B should be the answer. D also is wrong. It requires students to examine moral issues from new perspectives. It is explicitly mentioned. They can examine moral issues from new perspective, third paragraph. Because it is explicitly mentioned, it is not the answer. I hope you enjoyed this passage. The passage was easy to comprehend, but the options were complex in this case. The more you practice such passages, the more you develop the ability to understand the nuances of thought between two answer choices. The choices were really, really close here. So there's no upper limit to practice. You should practice 3 to 4 RCs every day of this nature, complex nature. The more you practice, the better you get at it. Okay. Until next time, bye bye. All the best.